everyone as well. Okay, thank you everyone for being at Transformational on Tuesdays. We have another great conversation with you. For you this week, we're going to have Dr. C. Denise Richardson. I'm going to unmute her line so she can talk with us in just a minute. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming to Transformational Tuesdays, especially after a holiday weekend. I hope you all had a great weekend for Labor Day and that you went out and did some fun stuff. I've been in the creative mode and creating information for the upcoming book, A Daily Gift of Gratitude, and you can find out all about that at yourstorymattersnow.com. We're still putting some stuff in the back end, but it's looking pretty good, and I'm excited for everything that is ahead for each of us who are part of this community and those who will step up to that opportunity. But, you know, I've been pondering so many things as, you know, the host of Transformational Tuesdays, and we are almost back for a year. Next week will be actually a year that Transformational Tuesdays is back from hiatus for 2 years, and I am excited for all that is ahead. But, and there's going to be some new stuff happening and some great things to share with you. So I am looking forward to the next year of Transformational Tuesdays. And I'm going to continue to bring you great guests. And if you have, I want to open this up. If you have topics that you want to hear about, particular things that are going on in your life that you would like me to bring someone on who is an expert in that area, feel free to email me at teresavelardi@gmail.com, and I will do my very best to bring the best in the business to you, to get all your questions, all your needs answered, and have your transformations through life and business be smooth ones. So without further ado, let me just tell you a little bit about Dr. C. Denise Richardson, our mountain moving guest today. So Dr. C is, she's somebody who loves education, but she is women's and children's abuse prevention proponent, humanitarian, community leader, a freelance writer, an author, a life strategist, an ordained minister. You think she's got some credentials here? She's a former public school educator. She's an administrator and executive director of CDR Unlimited, which is her company. She is a survivor of both child sexual abuse and domestic violence. And C. Denise inspires women to confront personal and professional mountains in order to transform into women of prayer, power, purpose, and prosperity. That's a few P's there, Denise. These 4 pillars correlate to individual and corporate legacies. And Dr. C. Denise inspires women to activate and awaken to their purpose first in themselves and then in others. Mountain movers and purpose shakers are her most notable conferences, and we have a Mountain Movers conference coming up very soon, and I'll tell you about that. She'll tell you about that in just a few minutes. And Dr. C also offers monthly Master Her Minds, her H-E-R in the middle is capitalized, sessions for the aforementioned conference titles, and she also loves women and is a radical catalyst for life, legacy, and love through accountability, faith, application, and collaboration. With 4 degrees that include undergrads, 2 masters, and 1 doctoral degree, Dr. C enrolls in CEUs in education, psychology, and counseling courses annually. Talk about educated. Like many of her followers, she has endured challenges, setbacks, and betrayals. However, she also experiences triumphs, joys, and accomplishments. So here's a question as I'm reading this. Which do you focus on? Obviously, Dr. C. Denise is focused on the triumphs, joys, and accomplishments, which have moved her to the place where she is. So she is obsessed with seeing women encourage, support, and empower other women. It's her absolute favorite, and she believes that the world needs more of it. Because she is so passionate about women and empowering them, she continues to offer life-changing, mind-altering courses that both challenge and support women's empowerment. She recognizes the significance of authenticity and accessibility, acknowledging that she is so no different than any other woman, except she opened the door to opportunity. Opportunity for women to collaborate and to be passionate about their own journey. So Dr. C is married to Cedric Richardson for 19 years, and they work together in ministry, community, business, and family. They oversee both Life Challenges Outreach Ministries Corporation, a 501c3 organization, and Life Changers Church International in Memphis, Tennessee. The essential objective of this faith-based ministry is to restore and reconcile families to Christ through the Word of God. They do that through a number of different methods, including but not limited to mentorship, individual and family counseling, life skills planning, literacy education, and computer and technology training. 3 of their 6 daughters, God bless you, see Denise, serve in various capacities in the aforementioned outreach. And it is with great pleasure that I welcome Dr. C. Denise Richardson to Transformational Tuesdays. Hello. I call you Denise. I'm going to call you Denise. Hi, Denise.
Hey, Teresa, these are some beautiful women. I'm just looking at them, and this is why I am so passionate about what I do, because it's all about women, different ages, age ranges, different backgrounds, just different career choices, whether we're domestic engineers or whether we're out in the workforce, or whether we're doing what Hillary Clinton is doing. It's just all about women supporting one another, whatever our choices are, because we have so many options, and I just love what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and you're so right. And no matter what your role is, no matter what your passion is, whether, as C. Denise says, whether you're taking care of your family inside the 4 walls of your home, or whether you're campaigning for a major leadership role in your life somewhere, you are all important, passionate, powerful, purposeful women. Yay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
can you tell I'm giddy? This is what I do. People will often ask me, is this just something you do for the moment? No, if I could do this for the majority of the day, this is the look that I would have. It's only when I'm out of this element that you see a little more tamed individual, because I'm out of my element. This is my element, working with women, connecting with women. So no, this is who I am. I'm just a little subdued when I'm taken out of this. So yeah.
Well, we're going to get you going, because I know we're going to be talking about one of your favorite topics and talking about an event that you have going on in Memphis. So for ladies that are in Memphis area or surrounding states, listen up, because this is going to be a great weekend event that Dr. C. Denise is putting on. And it is, you're also going to release your new book there, aren't you?
Yes!
Yay!
Yes!
Her newest book is titled Mountain Movers, Moving Mountains and Taking Names. Wow,
absolutely.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I used to say kicking butt and taking names, but I like the moving mountains.
Yeah, we're kicking butt too. We're kicking butt.
Yes. As you can see, Dr. Denise is inspired to live a life filled with purpose, and her trajectory includes periodic mountain moving. Invariably, this element of purpose requires her to assist other women in both pinpointing and conquering specific mountains, as not to subconsciously pass them on to the next generation. So here's the big question. Absolutely. Why are you referring to these things as mountains?
Good question. I'm glad you asked, because in Mark, the 11th chapter and 23rd verse, I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but in part, Jesus speaks to the mountain, and he actually shares with us that we can speak to mountains as he did. And I saw it as I researched in my concordance and in Matthew Henry and all of these different theologians who have broken it down, they describe mountains as challenges. So every woman, some people call them giants, some people call them obstacles or hindrances. It's just a play on words. And for me, that just spoke volumes to me. Whether we're grandparents, Mimi, nanas, whatever, these glam moms, we have mountains that come up. As you stated in my introduction, which was lengthy, I know, I apologize, ladies. I have 6 daughters. And we know that, and I'm an only child. So whether the mountain arises because of our own choices or because of choices that our children may make or our spouses may make, or maybe it's something in the professional field, these are challenges. And I just felt that it was proper for me, being who I am, to look at them as mountains, because sometimes any mountain you look at, they're massive. And sometimes the issues in our lives, we see them as massive. So, but there's no mountain that's too hard for us, especially when we get together, that we can't move. So that's why I called it a mountain, because Jesus spoke to the mountain and he said we could speak to it and it would be moved.
Yeah, and indeed. And, I remember a song about, oh my goodness, I can't even remember it, but it's so high you can't get over it, so low you can't get under it, so wide you can't get around it. You must go in at the door. So a lot of the ways that we try and do this mountain moving is by, I know in the past I've tried to wish it away or tried to ignore it, and the problem is huge and staring me in the face, like the pink elephant thing that they talk about being in the living room. But the only way to get through a challenge is to actually open the door and walk through it, right?
Absolutely.
So what is a mountain mover? So I know that a lot of people don't realize it on this call, but they are all mountain movers. What's a mountain mover, Denise?
A mountain mover is any woman who passionately and unapologetically, I want your listening audience to get that, unapologetically confronts issues, circumstances, and even individuals. I mean, even if they're individuals, because some mountains are people. We just have to be real about it. I mean, Jesus had a time in this earth dealing with people sometimes, as loving and as gentle as he was. So who potentially distract or thwart our ability to live a life of intentional purpose. So any obstacle, any circumstance, or even any individual who would, distract us or even thwart us from living our purposeful lives, our lives of thriving and not just surviving. So, those are the women that I'm speaking of who are mountain movers. They're not saying, I'm sorry that I'm taking back my life. You don't have to apologize because something is hindering you, whether you want to re-enroll in college, whether you want to give marriage another chance because maybe previous marriage, you were young, or maybe you weren't as young, but it didn't work out. So you don't have to apologize for taking your life back. The thoughts of other people, the comments, or even the actions of others, we shouldn't be apologetic about moving those mountains. So women who purposely take back their lives and unapologetically. So that's a mountain mover.
Right. And I think instead of apologizing, we should, on the contrary, we should celebrate those moments. And I want to give a shout out to my good friend, Patricia Giancas, who has just achieved a major milestone in her business. And for everybody who has done something like that, whatever the milestone is, I was talking to Patricia last night, and it comes to mind because of the fact that I said celebrate. I was talking to her last night, and she told me about this, that she's got some really great things going on in her business, and one of them is a major milestone that she's been working for a long time. It has just come together, and she's out having champagne at this time. So we're toasting her virtually for her achievement. And you should do that for yourselves when you're moving mountains in your world, and not just you. Celebrate the people who helped you to get there as well. So let's talk about that a little bit, Denise. if you have somebody who's assisting you, I think that it's important for them to be celebrated as well. And I know you do this. We have a mutual friend who brought us together, and she is both of us, we use her as our online business manager. I don't want to say use her, because that's certainly not what we do. We employ her as our online business manager, and she literally moves mountains of technology for us to have space on the internet and make things like Transformational Tuesdays happen. So make sure that you celebrate the people who helped you to get where you are. So Doreen, we love you. And if you didn't listen to Doreen's call last week, I encourage you to go to transformationaltuesdays.com and go listen to the replay. She's got some seriously great information about social media that will help you to get yourself in order on the internet when it comes to social media and your business. So speaking of business.
And I wanted to add this as well. Absolutely. But women, I also want you to know that mountain movers also, once you have adequately pinpointed mountains in your life. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, anyone you look at, whether it's the entertainment business, whether it's the political arena, or even just the public sector at large, they all face mountains. I mean, you can hear the singers, the entertainers speak about it. You know, they bring in the political parties and the issues that they face. But what I'm saying is, once you pinpoint and identify mountains in your own life, it is then that you are empowered and equipped enough to go on and help your other sisters. I mean, if you can't even acknowledge it in your own life, you can't truly help someone else. So that ties in what you were saying about celebrating. And it may not always be dysfunctional or issues of that matter, but a mountain can possibly be not knowing how to manage online. Technology is fearful and it's frightening. I just had a conversation, Teresa, with a woman, and she told me she has a brand new computer. I just want to share this real briefly. Her husband purchased her a brand new computer, just very nice computer, laptop. And she says that the only thing that she gets on it to do is to type a paper. And she admitted to me today that she's frightened of technology. So that's a mountain in her life. And what my task is, once I leave the phone with you all, is to assist her in overcoming that, because everybody's mountain is different. But the thing that we have in common is that a mountain is something that's fearful. It's something that terrifies us. It almost paralyzes us, where either we want to tuck it away, like you said, and don't want to face it and do something about it. We want to circumvent it, probably try to get around it, or try to, go under it. But we have to go through it. We have to find out a way to face it, to pinpoint it, to identify it, and then to move it out of our way so that it will no longer be a hindrance to us, because she's a businesswoman and there's no reason for her to have a fear of technology.
Exactly. No logical reason, but that's where people like our online business manager, Doreen Harper, help people like her. And here's the thing too. I want to just touch on this a little bit too. Know your skill set. Know where your gifts are, where your passion is, where your purpose is, and expand upon the gifts that you have been given and delegate everything else. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
And that's a way to move the mountains as well. So let's talk about your event that you've got coming on.
There's dough.
Hey. Under the name of Ambitions, which is her business, there is the awesome Doreen Harper. Thank you so much for all you do for moving mountains for us. You're great. And let's talk about the conference and what's going to go on, what kind of things you're going to talk about there, and whether or not you're able to attend this conference. Some of the things that Denise is going to say right now could be life-changing for you, so listen up.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if they're ready. Let me scoot back from the mic. Mountain Movers 2K16. Oh my goodness. We're going to be discussing Millennial Mayhem. We have a 26-year-old young lady, she's a millennial. These are the individuals who are all tech savvy. They have all the information. They know all of this and all of that, but they also have mountains themselves. So these mountains that she'll be tackling have to do with us as parents and as grandparents. Millennial Mayhem. This has to do with the way that we have possibly impose our fears upon them, fears of serving God, or being a woman in purpose, or a child in purpose, being fearful and fretful. So that's one topic that millennial will cover. We have marriage under fire. Anita Powell, she'll discuss any and everything that marriages, or the fear of being married, or even generational adultery. Maybe some people have a mountain of being married because they've seen nothing but serial adultery. So Anita Powell will discuss that. We have Carolyn Bendel, who will discuss Color Me Diverse. These topics I came up with myself, and Color Me Diverse has to do with the racial climate of today. I asked Carolyn, she's a Caucasian, European American woman. I asked her to tackle that subject because, you know, it's ironic that we can work in the workplace with people who don't look like us, who don't have the same background or nationalities that we do. But outside of that, are we connecting with women who, or are we afraid? Are we afraid to cross or move that mountain and say, hey, I don't just have to be her colleague. I can go out to lunch with her. I can go out to dinner with her. So Carolyn Bendel will be, speaking to that mountain, because there's a great fear of what people will say about, connecting with people who are outside of what you look like, outside of that vacuum. Then we have Tina Tatum, who is the founder of R3 The Movement. And Tina Tatum is another European American woman who her business is retrieving sex trafficked young girls. She's R3 The Movement, and she's going to be discussing repurposing your past. So many women have a mountain of what they've done in the past. They don't know how to repurpose it to help another woman feel confident in herself. So what, you had a child out of wedlock? So what, your marriage didn't work? So what, you're on your third marriage? So what, your child was on drugs? So what? Repurpose your past. And as a matter of fact, Tina, as great as she is now, she has a past. And her past includes drug addiction. But Tina's going to tackle that subject. Then we have Latoya Dotson, who will be speaking to Cancer Crossroads. A lot of women have a mountain that prevents them from even discussing cancer because either they or someone they love have been affected with cancer, or by cancer. So she'll be tackling that subject matter. And then we have a 19-year-old pastor who is Latino. 19-year-old pastor. Someone asked me, is she a youth pastor? I'm really thinking, what does it matter? But she's a pastor, a full-fledged 19-year-old pastor with a membership that is growing by leaps and bounds. She'll be discussing millennial mantle because so many of the millennials, with all that they know and all that they've seen, they're afraid to do what she's done, to pick up that purpose mantle and to be who she believes that God has called her to be. And that's a pastor. That's a young lady who's speaking out to her generation as well as to other generations. So she'll be speaking to that. And then you have me, of course, Dr. C. I'll be speaking on finance frenzy. Listen, I jacked up a whole lot of stuff because I was brought up as an only child. My mom was a nurse, and instead of spending time with me, she bought me so much. She tried to buy my love and respect. So in coming into this marriage with a husband who had come from a 7-member, he had 6 siblings, and he knew me 2 weeks and asked me to marry him. We were married 3 months later, and I didn't know how to manage money. And I've had instances where I was a poor steward. So I'm going to do money monopoly and finance frenzy because a lot of relationships, not just marriages, every marriage does not crumble because of infidelity or adultery. Some marriages are dysfunctional because of lack of finance prowess, don't know how to manage and just have a budget, a working budget. Some marriages fail, or friendships, because, we don't know how as friends to appreciate one another's finances. So I'm going to be tackling that spiritually, scripturally, and through experience, knowing that everyone's experience is not my experience, but finance is a real deep subject. So I'll be tackling that this year instead of the sexual abuse, which I tackled last year. I talked about sexual abuse as a mountain last year, but this year it's going to be money monopoly, finance frenzy. That's September 23rd and 24th in the great city of Memphis.
Awesome.
Ladies, can y'all tell I'm excited?
Yeah,
I'm
baby.
excited.
Excited. So
I am about women learning how to identify these mountains, because when a mountain is there, sometimes we don't even realize what damage it does to our other relationships. So I just want women to know that they're not alone. You're not the only one who's going through this or something similar to that. You know, a lot of women, I would venture to say 99% of us have gone through similar mountains anyway.
it's true. We have. So let's identify some of those mountains that you're talking about. And by the way, what's the website where people can go look about the conference and get the information about these speakers and potentially get your book? So tell me the website.
Yes, I do, because I would love for your listening audience and viewing audience to see what Doreen and the CDR Unlimited team has put together. The video is amazing, and it actually describes everything. See, that's how she moved a mountain out, because I had the idea, I had the concept, but Doreen and the team put it together. But the website, and go and check it out, if nothing else, just to see the video and see actually who these women are, to put a face with the name. You would go to www.mountainmoversconference.com. That's mountainmoversconference.com. And you will find information about each individual speaker, and there are 7 of us. And you will also find information about my latest book, Mountain Movers, Moving Mountains and Taking Names.
Love it. I love it. So, you know, we are people who are involved, women mostly, are involved in so many different aspects of life. We're involved in our homes, we're involved with our friends, we're involved with our families of origin, we're involved with our business. What are some of the mountains that you can identify in the lives of other women, busy women particularly, that we may just like close our eyes to or put on blinders to because we're focused on our children at one moment, our business at another moment? What are some of the things that you assist women with when it comes to identifying the mountains? What are some of the things that you identify in women?
Well, one thing that I do, Teresa, is this. Currently, I am working as a mentor to a domestic engineer, and she's a young mother, and she was nervous about, she's always been one who was independent and working outside of the home. However, she's been married for approximately 3 years, and the gentleman that she married is 9 years older than she is. So now he had a child, and now she's in home rearing their child that he already had. I think they're calling it a bonus child now, like a bonus room. I don't know. These millennials are funny. And then they have 2 small children. So my challenge to her, because the mountain was, she was overwhelmed with not being able to be in the workforce, but actually shifting. And she was fearful about, I noticed that she liked to write. She has a blog post, and she was nervous about going ahead and branching out and doing broader. She didn't feel like she could do anything at home, but I think that's what she said. I'm not anything but a mother, and I said, no, you're greater than that. I said, what I'm sensing is, she shared a little bit more with me, and I said, what is that? And she said, I'm nervous, I'm afraid. I said, absolutely. So she actually identified that because this was a new life for her, this was something new these last 2 years, and the husband being much older, what I do is just kind of let women talk to me, and they actually identify their own issues. And then what I do is leverage it by asking them, what are they passionate about? Because moving mountains and finding passion and purpose coincide. It's kind of like grace and mercy. So those are some instances, because women who are in the workplace that may have turn a blind eye, is in her case as well, she kind of felt like a second-class citizen. And I've heard that from some women. When they're married and they stay at home, some husbands don't realize the work that's put into what they do at home. It's not just like you're kicking back, eating bonbons and watching television, but preparing meals, taking care of 2 toddlers, or an infant and a toddler, and then having to get the older child dressed and get him back and forth to school, making meetings. It's a lot. It's kind of like she was already a CEO, but didn't recognize her own potential. So all of us may not experience it in that manner, but even in the workplace, some mountains that we may not realize in the workplace is that this is one great one, Teresa. We congregate with the women who look like us, and if they don't look like us, they think like us, they talk like us. That's a mountain to me, because why is it that, I mean, I can understand connections, I can understand you just like who you like, but why not venture out sometimes and just switch it up and invite someone else or eat lunch with someone else who may be able to be a sounding board for you? You know, being stuck in a vacuum with people who just think like you and just always yes, 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 and there's no challenge. You know, that's a mountain to me. That's a mountain, because somewhere you have to be challenged in the way you do things, because life is evolving. So, you know, those are mountains that we want to turn a blind eye to. We know why we congregate with certain people all the time and never give anyone else an opportunity to connect with us.
Right. And I think it's so important, especially nowadays. I think that there's for lack of a better phrase, a rise in feminine energy and feminine connectivity. And I see it around a project that I've been involved with, which is this new movie that's coming out, Embrace. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's all about body issues. That's a mountain for a lot of women. You know, like looking at yourself in the mirror and being judgmental of what you look like. Looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, like the questions that I ask myself, who am I and why am I here? And without recognizing what your purpose is, that's a mountain. You know, so this movie that's out there, and for anybody who wants to find out about it, it was made by an Australian woman, and she, the trailer is out there. Just Google Embrace, the movie, and find it. It's on YouTube, and I can certainly actually go to my Facebook page. There's information about that. But you know, I talked to somebody today who had. She's Miss USA at 60 years old, Miss Northeast Pennsylvania, Northeast, the United States, USA at 60 years old. And she was so excited to be part of that conversation, because body image has been a mountain that has been hers throughout her life. And now she's Miss USA. Once we accept who we are, and once we accept that we have these challenges and face them head on, huge things happened. Huge things happen. So you had given me a list of some of the mountains, and I'm going to, for time's sake, I'm going to read them off. Lack of confidence, lack of support, fear of failure, other women. Ladies, be kind. Be kind, be generous, be compassionate. Pay forward what you have been blessed with. When someone is in need, whether it is money that they need, whether it is an ear that they need to listen to, pay something forward. It will move you forward. Okay, so that's the other thing that's on the list, moving forward. Moving forward on your own journey, moving forward from a life transition, maybe a divorce, maybe the death of a parent, something like that. Moving forward, various forms of abuse, which you are the expert in handling issues of abuse, dysfunctional relationships, financial, which you'll talk about at the conference, and death and dying. So there's a lot of different ways that those mountains show up in our lives. So how can women pinpoint these in their own lives if they're unable to work with you more intimately? What advice can you give to someone in locating the things that are, for lack of a better phrase, keeping them stuck at the foot of that mountain rather than walking through it? What can you give them advice?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I want to just real quickly, that body image thing. I forgotten what all I had sent you, but that body image thing, you've just given me that idea. I will be speaking on that issue next year at Mountain Movers, because that is a huge issue. Well, one way that we can discover or pinpoint mountains in their lives is when there's a disconnect or a discomfort, or we know when we're turning a blind eye to certain situations. It's because we already recognize that mountain. We're fearful of it. We don't want to discuss it. It's just like you said, the pink elephant. We see it, but we don't want to discuss it. So internally, women already know. So what I do is I may have a one-to-one conversation with them like we're doing right now, but it's one-to-one, or I may do an assignment for them and see their responses like that. Because let me say this, with sexual abuse, there was a Miss USA, I think, European American woman. And this is a true testimony in the training that I do for child sexual abuse prevention. I am a prevention proponent. I train individuals and they receive CEUs for the training that I do. This Miss America, European American woman, said that her dad, her biological, because some people, well, it must have been her bio dad was molesting her. And she was terrified. She said one night, and this is real quick, that she and her dad one night heard her mom coming to her room. She said she heard the footsteps. And this is in a video that I used to train the participants. She said her dad stopped. She stopped. You know, she froze right where she was, and her dad did as well. She said, and for that moment of time, she felt like she was going to be rescued. See, that was a mountain in that family. But you know what happened? At the end of her testimony or experience, this is what she concluded. She said it would not end because they heard her mom's footsteps go back up the stairs, back up the stairs. Her mother never came and opened that door because she knew that mountain that awaited her. This is what Miss America said. She said, and her dad continued, Miss USA, her dad continued to molest her, to molest girls until he died. She said he was 70-something years old and he continued to molest children. And she said her mother was angry with her. See, these are the kind of mountains that I'm speaking of. It's not just about sexual abuse because everyone hasn't been sexually abused. But that's why I'm saying most times we know what those mountains are. We just don't want to confront them, or we're fearful to confront them. And that's why it's good that we can find at least one woman that we can confide in. And maybe she has conquered mountains and she can encourage us and give us that boldness that we need to first acknowledge it. Yeah, this is what's going on. He's beating me. You know, I would never tell a woman to leave her husband, even in the act of abuse. But what I do is I let her come to her own conclusions and decisions. You know, how beautiful is she? And she's not going to really believe that from me, but there's a process. And she'll make up her own mind, and she knows that this is not what she should have to go through. She already knows that that's a mountain in her life. And the mountain is not the abuse, ladies. I just want to say this because I am a survivor of domestic violence. Not with my husband, but I was a 16-year-old girl dating an 18-year-old boy, and he beat me. He beat me for 2 years, and I never told my mom. But the fear is, for a lot of women, is that what am I going to do without him? You know, how am I going to make it without him? And mine was not how am I going to make it without him, because my mom was taking care of me, but mine was he loves me. You know, this was my first boyfriend. You know, I don't want to lose him, Teresa. So that's the fear. The fear is not, the mountain is not the beating. The mountain is what's going to happen in the unknown. I know what's here. I mean, I get beat, but we make up. I know what to expect here, but I don't know what's on the other side of this mountain.
Exactly. And that's where faith comes in, and that's where trust comes in. And I will say this because I have my own experience in that arena. And I will say that the first way to get yourself out of that situation, even get your heart out of that situation, is to tell someone. If you have a situation going on, tell someone. And, you know, the sad thing is that a lot of people will say, well, what did you do to provoke it? And they try and make it about what you did in order to be able to, quote unquote, cause the issue. And that's not what it's about. It's about, you know, I mean, ladies, I know that you all know what I'm talking about, because it's, you know, it's something that if you're not experiencing something like that yourself, you know someone who's experiencing, you know, some sort of abuse. And if we turn a blind eye to it, we're just as guilty as the person who's doing the abusing. So, you know, be compassionate, pay it forward. The things that I said before, do something to make a difference in that person's life. Direct them to some resources that are available. And there are plenty around, you know, there are women's advocacy centers around the nation. There are all kinds of things, or things of that nature, not necessarily that title. They are around the nation for people who are experiencing that, for drug abuse, sex abuse. There are all kinds of 12-step programs. There are all kinds of resources. Seek them out for yourself or someone who may need that information. And it may not be your place to give them the information, but eventually it will come around. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, and it may not be you. It may not be you. It may be someone else. But the other thing that I want to say is this kept going when you saying people, they just don't want to look at. Ladies, denial is not a river in Egypt.
Denial, right.
Denial
And I'm not laughing.
Not a river in Egypt.
And I'm not laughing at the abuse because I'm a survivor, but I'm laughing at how you said it. Yeah, denial is right. It's
and
not.
It's like that's something we cannot deny what is going on in our lives. When you decide that you're going to be the best you can be and live your life most authentically, you have to take 100% responsibility for your life. And whether you believe this or not, how you do anything is how you do everything. So how are you going to show up in this world? What mountains are there to move in your life? And Denise, I'm going to open the lines. I'll give the opportunity for people who are on the phone. If you have something to say, you want to ask a question, you want to make a comment, press *9 on your phone. If I can see you visually and you want to make a comment, ask a question, just raise your hand and I will absolutely recognize you and open your line so that you can talk to Dr. C. Denise Richardson. So so much great stuff you're bringing to the table here, Dr. C. And I'm like, I don't know what to ask you next.
Well, I have something. There is a red flag. When you're asking about the red flags, denial is another one. When you're denying something, it's obviously a mountain in your life because it's clearly there. For me to say that I'm not Black, well, I'm a little Choctaw too. That's my little joke. But seriously, if you can see it, if it's evident and you're trying to push it off and pass it off as though it does not exist, that's a red flag that may be a potential mountain. It could be a molehill, but it's gradually going to grow, into a mountain maybe. So I see Doreen has a question.
Yes, I just unblocked her line. So hi, Doreen.
Hi, I've got a question, but I've also got a statement. I don't, as always, Denise, every time I hear you speak, it always moves me. But I also want to lay out there for everyone that when we're looking at those mountains, we also have them professionally. Look at what you're facing in your decisions that you're going to have to make. Some of us are full-time entrepreneurs, while some of us still work and are part-time entrepreneurs. What are and that part-time might be your mountain, so when we're looking at all of the mountains that we have to face, they're personal, they're on the professional side, and we need to recognize a lot of times some of those mountains cross both borders. You may be afraid to become a full-time entrepreneur because of the fact that, on a personal level, you've got family, you've got this, and you don't know where your next meal is going to come and everything else. But it's again, looking at what Denise says, it's not becoming the entrepreneur that's the mountain. It's looking around it and not knowing what the foreseen is on that. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to bring that up because I know so many of your listeners, are on the fence. They're trying to figure out whether their business is 100%. They know they're passionate about their business, but they don't know whether their business is going to succeed or what's going to happen. I have been in business since 2004. Originally, I was in it part-time, and a very wise person at a networking event told me to stop looking at my business as the part-time venture, start looking at my day job as my part-time venture, and my business was my full-time venture. And I started looking at everything that way, and everything just changed for me. And in 2009, when the stock market was dying, I decided, as soon as I got my bonus, to walk away from Wall Street. I had a very, very secure job, probably one of the only secure jobs on Wall Street, working for a hedge fund that was still making people money. And I was guaranteed my job because it was 8 men and me, one female, running the whole company. I was the back end. So I didn't have to walk away. But I realized that my business, it was my passion, it was my mountain, and the only thing that was holding me back was myself. And I just wanted to bring that to the forefront with everything that Denise said, because we tend to look at ourselves personally and everything that we've got to face before we look at the business side. Because a lot of us are looking at, oh, my boss has to handle that, or this has got it. No, you're the one who's going to have to decide how you're going to do it. You may be a worker for your whole life. You may work for for another company, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're passionate about, if that's what you're enjoying, if that's what you love. But look at the professional side of those mountains as well.
Yeah, thanks, Doreen.
Thank you.
Thanks,
We didn't put that spin on it, but we did spend a little bit of time with the professional side, because I let them know that but that was a great spin, because you actually brought something. She did, Teresa. I was with a media personality, and she just told me, she said, you just have so much, I just love what you're saying and doing. She said, you're so brave. She said, because I don't really like doing this. I was just on a show with her. She was like, it's just for the benefits and a little bit for the money. It's not really the money, because somebody else called out. They're like, your husband. She's like, yeah, but it's really for the benefits that I get, all the things that I get to do. So she said, and that's my mountain. So Doreen is bringing that back to my, and this was just last week. Beautiful lady. She's been in media for at least 25 years, I know, but this is not what she's passionate about.
Yeah.
So that's a mountain.
Yeah, and that's, that's the thing. Like, what are you passionate about? And where your passion lies, your talents lie. Like, and that's the thing. I mean, you are proof of it, Doreen. You are proof of it, Dr. C. Denise. Barbara Yeager, you're proof of that. Karen Mayfield is texting me. She says, the quickest way over a mountain is to become a shooting star.
I love it.
How about that?
I love it too.
Yeah, and she also says that you got to have yourself a conscious raising revival. How cool. I mean, it's true. Consciousness raising a revival. Like, I think that a lot of times, like, we don't want to know what's going on in the world. We don't want to know what's going on in the country. We don't want to know what's going on in our neighborhood, because, oh my word, what if anybody knew about what people were living? You know what? You're no different than anybody else. It's going on all over the place. And are you going to really take stock of what's happening? And if you take stock of what's happening, what is your part in the whole thing? And if you feel drawn to do something to make a change, for heaven's sake, do it. And the fear factor is what stops most of us. Well, what if? Stay out of the what if conversation. It's a dead end. It's a dead end. Barbara, yes, let me unmute you. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful way to start my day, to see you and to hear you and to feel your energy. It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
This whole mountain thing, I was working with a woman last week, and we were talking about, her moving past some mountains, and she said something that was really interesting. She said, I don't think I'm worthy. And that is such a huge mountain for people, whatever their blocks and restrictions are, whatever, lack they're working from or whatever, that I hear that a lot. Well, I don't think I'm worthy. And that is a huge mountain to cross over. But, curiosity takes us into a lot of directions that we wouldn't necessarily go into. If you're curious about things, it frees you up from having to hear your ego speaking in your ear like, oh, don't do that, stay safe. I always use curiosity as my guide. And I started to look into the whole limiting belief thing. It got me really thinking about it after I was, hung up with her. And I thought, this limiting belief, or these mountains that we have, the greatness that women can share, and to learn how to get over these hurdles is really the work that we do now.
Yeah.
Because we all know at soul level, we are created in the perfection of God.
Yes.
You're not missing, you're not broken, you're not messed up. And that's the connection that these people need to know.
Yeah.
And that's the work that we do, and it's the work that we have to continue to do, because otherwise people are always going to think that somehow they are in lack when they are not.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You agree, Denise?
I do. I wholeheartly agree with that. I wrote some notes down from what she's saying.
Yeah. And it's like, every single one of us, call your passion. I'm just being led to say this, call your passion. Every one of us has a ministry. In one way or another, we have a ministry. Barbara, yours is like bringing the information that you are able to connect to in the Akashic Records. Doreen, yours is being the backbone of for people like me and Dr. C. Denise, who are not as technology savvy as you are, and putting together stuff that makes us have the ability to be out there in the world in a bigger way. Denise, your ministry is obvious. Karen Mayfield is on the line listening. Her ministry is Wake Up Women and helping women around the world to wake up to who they are. If you want to claim what yours is, just raise your hand and I'll open your line, because you know what? I have to tell you, and this is the first step through the mountain. Yeah.
This is an initial step.
Absolutely. My soapbox here.
Absolutely.
Teresa, there are some people who do have soapboxes and they need to use them.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
And not be shy about it. So.
And you know, is that, go ahead, Denise. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I'm thankful that Barbara spoke up, because she's a mountain mover. When I offered the definition for a mountain mover, it's women who unapologetically and passionately, identify or pinpoint these mountains, not only in themselves, but they begin. So I'm sure that Barbara has already identified and moved mountains in her own right. And now she's able to help her sisters. And that's what paying it forward, bringing another woman along to help encourage her. You are worthy. Yeah, you're worthy. You're worthy of whatever it is that you desire in life. I mean, we just have to get past that mountain. And I'm glad that Barbara was able to be the catalyst for that, because if a woman is feeling broken and unworthy, then of course she needs a cheerleader. Even if it's just for a period of time, until she gets her wings strong enough to be able to move on her own, and then she can bring somebody else or several somebody else's. So I love that. I'm glad that I have some mountain movers on here.
Yeah, you do. And here's the other thing. If you are a mountain mover and you're climbing that mountain, when you get to the top, ladies, reach down and give another lady a hand up, please.
Doreen said that Sunday.
Yeah.
Yep, she said
hand up.
Yeah,
yep. Some of us move faster than others. Some of us are able to get over the fear more than others. I mean, this platform right here, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to show my face to the world. Well, hello. I'm like, why not? It's that, Barbara said it earlier. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. I'm blah, 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 blah enough. Whatever. I'm not this. You know what? It's all just chatter. It's all just chatter, because every one of us was created in his image, in the image of God. And every single one of us has a purpose. And I'm gonna quote a scripture here, and Jeremiah 29:11 says that God has a plan for each and every one of us, and that it is a perfect plan, and he promises not to harm us, but to prosper us in every area of our lives. So for that, I say, pay attention. Yeah. Pay attention. Doreen.
I just got to go back to where you were saying to reach down. So many women are intimidated by other women that they don't know how to do that, and they just move forward without moving back. Ladies, we have too many outside factors that are already hindering us. We should not be hindering each other. We should be supporting each other in everything that we do. And I'm going to tell, both Teresa and Denise are both big proponents of this, and I see it just by working with them. Somebody could be writing a book, and Denise, or publishing a book, Denise will buy 5 or 6 copies to support the person, and then give them out to people who she feels needs them. She may not even need the book. The book may not even pertain to anything in her life that is relevant at the moment, but she'll purchase it. She's supporting this individual. Teresa, I've seen you do the same thing to other individuals. It is giving back to especially other women who are trying to rise up. Inevitably, it's karma. It's going to come back to you. Their rise will eventually be your rise, because if you're bringing that hand down and you're lifting it up and bringing somebody up right next to you, the stronger your circle is, the more individuals you bring into your circle who have as much knowledge and hopefully more knowledge than you do, will it help you expand.
Yes.
And that again is another mountain. Women don't know how to interact with each other. They don't know how to help each other and to recognize greatness in each other. And when they do recognize that greatness in somebody else, they walk away in jealousy and distaste and everything else. And we've got to stop that.
Amen. I would say that's absolute truth. We have to stop that. Put the brakes on, girls. Put the brakes on. Denise, what are you saying?
I'm just saying wow to what she's saying about the intimidation. And I'm going to cover it in a different way in 2017, but we're covering it a little bit with the Color Me Diverse and the connections and the collaborations. But Doreen is speaking a little bit more deep than what I was speaking of for this conference. So that will be for 2017. But just for Doreen, though, while you were speaking about how I approach books, a woman just texted me. I saw my phone alert. Dr. C, how are you doing? Thank you so much for the book. A book that I didn't need, but I purchased one and I just gave it to her Sunday. So
yeah. So that's recognize the needs of others around you. It's absolutely true. And Karen also says, she's texting me here. Karen also says that Karen Mayfield also says Karen owns a farm, so she must have a lot of animals around where she is right now making noise. She has a bunch of dogs, a bunch of horses, a bunch of whatever. She's got a lot of animals, goats. So she says, women who feel unworthy are poised for quick change. She says, reveal the truth and change happens quickly. So, one of the ways that we can assist others to move mountains is with the two things that are on the side of our head, our ears. Be a good listener. Be a good listener. And, I want to talk about, you talked about the diversity and collaboration and connection. And one of the things that I am a great proponent of is those two things, collaboration and making connections, powerful connections to other women, to people who can make a difference in the world. Those are my catchphrases. Make a difference, be grateful, and connect to other people. Those are my three things. So Dr. C. Denise is putting together another book that I'm going to just talk about a little bit. It's going to be revealed the middle of next month, I believe. And I'm putting together the gratitude, right? And I called Dr. C. Denise for several reasons. And part of that conversation, we decided that she was going to contribute to a daily gift of gratitude, and I was going to contribute to Purpose Shakers, which is the next book that's going to be coming out. The big thing that I talked about was connection and collaboration. And you're coloring me diverse. And part of that that writing that I did, I say that really we're all a box of crayons. The bottom line is we stand next to each other every day. Just if you've ever taken a bus, just look at everybody who's sitting on the bus with you. If you've ever been on a train, look at the people who are sitting on the train with you or flown. I mean, diversity is all over the place. There are people of different religions, people of different color, people of different, belief systems, people of different money, financial status. But you know what? We all put our clothes on the same way. We all walk one foot in front of the other. And if we were a box of crayons, we would be standing so closely to each other, we'd be Barbara.
Teresa, you know what? A lot of times, sometimes I play a game with myself, and I always look around to people and I say, I wonder what their magic is.
Yeah.
Everyone has magic. And I just love to be in a circle of people, and I look at everyone and I go, I know there's magic here. I wonder what their magic is. And if I don't even know it, sometimes I make it up. Yeah. I look at a mother who's struggling with a child, and I think about the magic that she has in that tender moment when she comforts that child. Yeah. I mean, everyone has magic in them.
Yeah,
and it's that magic. Connect to that magic is when we know that we can transform not only ourselves, but other people too.
Amen. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, thank you. Dr. C. Denise, would you believe our hour is just about up? I'm going to go for a couple minutes more, though. If everybody can stick around for just a couple minutes, I have a couple of other things. So share with me just really quickly, some of the mountains that you've moved that are not abuse or addiction related, and then tell me what's next for you.
Well, other than the abuse, low self-esteem, confidence. I was an only child, and because of the abuse, I did have low self-esteem. I also, my teeth, I had braces on the top. Y'all see these pretty teeth?
Yes.
No, but I had really low self-esteem, and part of that was because of the body image, though, Teresa. You know, I was shapely. I wasn't obese as a child, but I was shapely, and then but the images that I saw didn't look like me, so that played a role in it. So I had to conquer that mountain, and so that's why now I can be around beautiful women. I can be, you know, I've been around women who would watch me as though I, you know, or even as though their husband thinks you may think I'm attractive, but your guy probably doesn't. So it's just women being able to be comfortable in their own skin. I'm comfortable. Cedric's around beautiful women all day. See, you said he was a minister and an ordained pastor, but he's a driver for Brown. I usually don't say that, but he drives for UPS. And so he sees gorgeous women all the time. I'm not on the phone with him. That's a mountain. Insecurity, low self-esteem, confidence. Another mountain was being a poor steward with money, just feeling like I can spend it and not keep up with it, because I learned that from Nancy, from my mother. And when I did the conference call with you all, and I forget her name, you all know who I'm talking about, a few Saturdays ago, where we discussed money and our money issues.
Was
Doreen is saying her name.
Was it Adrian?
Tanya Villar?
Oh, Tanya.
Yes.
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 Indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you messaged me, Teresa. So those are some of the mountains, ladies, other than the domestic violence and the sexual abuse, were money issues. Those were mountains, low self-esteem. And women look at me now. Yes, what you see is what you get. I don't have low self-esteem. I mean, I don't, even without the hair being a certain way. Doreen would tell you, I change my hair. I'll make it short. I'll do it natural. Doesn't matter. I mean, without the make, I'm still confident in who I am. That's not an issue. I've conquered that mountain, tucked it away. That mountain is afraid of me. So, you know, it is. It won't, I mean, even in the mirror, I know what I see, even with no tummy. I see what I need to work on. It's me. And I'll fuss that door. But why did you pick that? You look great. I'm like, but it's me. The camera takes what it sees. I don't have an issue is what I'm saying. That mountain is afraid of me now. It'll show its face. Somebody else climb me. And they're like, no, but I'm going to climb you, baby. You better get back. I've already done you once. You better move. So those are the mountains. And what's next for Dr. C. Denise or C whatever? I mean, it doesn't matter because I've been called a lot worse. And some of the names that I've been called weren't even my name. They started with a B and a W. But anyway, that's a little joke for you ladies. Come on, laugh. Make me feel like I'm a comedian. But no, listen, what's next for me is Mountain Movers, as you know.
The dates again? The dates and the website again?
September 23rd and 24th in the great city of Memphis. 23rd and 24th, 6 p.m. on the 23rd and the 24th, 9 a.m. And I'm excited about Refresh Her. One of my guest speakers and one of my anthology writers, contributors, is Tina Tatum, the European American woman that I told you about, who is doing the topic Repurposing Your Past, who has the R3 movement. She reaches, rescues, and the Lord redeems these young girls who have been sex trafficked. So she's having a Refresh Her in Moscow, Tennessee, October 27th, 28th, and 29th in Moscow, Tennessee. And I am one of the featured speakers. And so I'm excited about that. The website is mountainmoversconference.com. Next year, we have the anthology coming out. I have 4 books coming out this year. Mountain Movers is already released.
Here's a question.
Yes.
Where can people get Mountain Movers if they're not at the conference? Is it going to be available on Amazon, or is it available on Amazon?
Doreen wants to answer that one real quick, Teresa. I'm sorry. Y'all give us about 3 or 4 more things.
Mountain Movers is currently in pre-order status. It will be available here within the next 7 days. We're waiting on the final draft copy that's been mailed to the 2 of us. So right now it's in pre-order status. And I would say midweek we'll probably have it finalized on Amazon.
Awesome. Okay, so Mountain Movers, Purpose Shaker. What are the other books? Did she freeze? Oh, she froze. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's what I have here. She has let me see here. Purpose Shaker anthologies, and Her Prayers. She's got another book called Her Prayers. So there's a lot of things that are going on in Dr. C. Denise Richardson's world. So be sure to connect with her. And if you want to actually friend her on Facebook, it's C. Denise Richardson on Facebook. She does. Are you back, Denise? You froze there for a minute. Dr. C. Denise on Periscope and on Twitter.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Yes. Froze again. And you can find her, Dr. C. Denise, on Instagram, and cdrunlimited.com is her website. Go there. And if you want to email her, Doreen, can you give me an email address for C. Denise?
It's richstrategist@gmail.com. So it's RICHSTRAT. Who said
T-I-S-T?
There you go. It's exactly how it's spelled. richstrategist@gmail.com.
Perfect.
And you can find the contact form on CDR Unlimited, which is her parent company for everything that she does.
Right. Awesome. So I'm sad that she got bumped off here, but I want to thank Dr. C. Denise Richardson for coming to Transformational Tuesdays and sharing all of her mountain moving expertise with us. I hope that you all took a lot away from this conversation and that you can begin moving the mountains that are rise up around you or before you or whatever they are that are part of your life that are keeping you from being the most authentic, most powerful person that you were created to be. So connect with Dr. C. Denise, get her book, Mountain Movers, Moving Mountains and Taking Names, and watch for the release of the anthology Purpose Shakers that I'm extremely honored to be a part of. And next week we have Adrienne Graham. She's going to be talking about mogul chicks and looking at your business as a company, among a few other things. And down the line we have, on the 20th of September, we have Dina Proctor, who's going to talk about her book, which is Madly Chasing Peace, How I Went from Hell to Happy in 9 minutes a day. So I'll let you put a little bit of thought into what that could possibly be about. Watch for the announcements on TransformationalTuesdays.com. Feel free to go to TransformationalTuesdays.com and get any of the replays. You can view some of the replays. You can listen to them in an audio format. They're all there for you to review and to embrace as part of your transformational journey. Also encourage you to go to Transformational Tuesdays on Facebook, like that page. I'll be more active on that page in the near future. So I look forward to seeing you again here next week. And until next time, enjoy traveling what I like to call the transformational trails of life. See you next time, everyone.